Good evening, everybody. This is Jeff J. Brown in hot, nice weather, Shenzhen, China, just south of the Tropic of Cancer, for another China Rising Radio Sinoland article, podcast, and video. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm drinking my daughter's Tibetan black tea that she brewed up today. She's not here. She's visiting from Beijing. She just passed all of her semester exams in Chinese, by the way, of going to Beijing, a normal university. And so anyway, I guess she'll find out I drank her tea when she gets back tonight. She played a soccer match tonight. All right, are we ready? This is a good one. There's a lot of links. There's two visuals, so go to the hyperlink on SoundCloud and YouTube down in the message area. Click on it and you can read along as well as see the visuals and have a total audio-visual experience. This one is entitled Headlines Say It All. Baba Beijing's vision leads its citizens into the 21st century. And the picture has an article that says Shenzhen to build 149 kilometers of metro lines by 2022. And the byline says, day after day, week after week, citizens of China see headlines like this, in Mandarin of course, touting China's never-in-human history, record-setting achievements, development, and progress. The above article explains how Shenzhen is starting construction on 5 new urban metro lines to be completed in 5 years. They just opened 3 others a year ago, with one having a station right next to where we live. Everywhere I go in China, highways, bridges, subways, trolleys, trams, bus systems, and high-speed railways are being expanded and built. We are spoiled rotten in communist-socialist China. I'm going to take a sip here. I got a frog in my throat. Come on, Tibetan black tea. Note, when finishing reading, listening, and or watching this column and podcast, sharing is caring about humanity's future and getting the non-mainstream truth out to a wider audience. Please tell your family, friends, and colleagues about China Rising Radio Sinoland. Post and follow it on all your social media. Sign up for the email alerts on this blog page so you don't miss a beat. Then read the China Trilogy to understand your world and where you are headed into the 21st century. You will be so glad you did. All right, here's the body of the podcast. In addition to checking out my daily palette of Western sources, which decidedly does not include BBC, NPR, New York Times at all, I love to follow Chinese media too. I check out 3 sites every day. People's Daily and Global Times are national venues. I also pick up a paper copy of the Shenzhen Daily every morning. There's nothing like holding a broadsheet in your hands over a cup of coffee or tea. A computer monitor just cannot compare. What's great about all the English newspapers in China is that they are tied to local Chinese ones. Thus, 90% of the content is the same thing as their fraternal Mandarin versions, which saves me a lot of time translating to keep China Rising Radio Sinoland humming. I also check out the media in Chinese, but most of the time the English versions do a great job. Often the headlines and articles are identical. I have always felt it very beneficial to take the time to read a locale's newspapers. They truly are a window into how the place is governed, who counts and who doesn't. When I traveled and worked all over Africa and the Middle East, 1980 to 1990, I would regularly peruse newspapers in English, Arabic, and French. It was always fascinating and informative. If I was really swamped, I would at least take the time to study the headlines. They can really be a barometer of local society, economy, and government. Reading all the headlines and articles of the Shenzhen Daily is equally revealing. After a couple of months of keeping track of headlines pertaining to the city's and country's development, common themes coalesce. On its front page, there is a lead article below the fold. The paper loves to put a big photo above the fold, which may or may not be related to the lead article. I have sporadically saved a pile of them over the last couple of months. Below are some front page headlines of articles, leaving out ones that remark on serious events around the world, like disasters, geopolitics, and the like. As I have asked myself for years, living, working, and traveling around the world, what kind of image does this selection of headlines evoke in your mind? Here we go. 2017, November 1st, Shenzhen, world's 6th in global urban competitiveness. 2017, November 13th, Phase 1 of Shenzhen, Haiphong, Vietnam, Trade Zone operational soon. November 15th, first Bulgaria-China Vocational Education Center inaugurated. November 16th, top high-tech fair opens today with focus on artificial intelligence. The 17th to the 19th, weekend edition, Argentine province inks $300 million US dollar deals with Shenzhen firms. November 20th, mainland Hong Kong cooperation deal on co-location arrangement. November 21st, shared bike deposit issues raised at hearing. November 22nd, curtain falls on a week-long show of tech innovation. Well, November 23rd, Shenzhen organization inaugurates Africa office in Ethiopia. November 24th to the 26th, Shenzhen to host China Outbound conference next week. November 28th, 2 experts in Shenzhen elected as academicians. November 29th, 2 professors in Shenzhen elected Chinese Academy of Sciences academicians. December 4th, 2017, 4 driverless buses begin trial operation in city. November 5th, initiative on Belt and Road digital economy cooperation launched. December 6th, Aussie, Australia. Aussie state launches tech partnership with Sustech. December 11th, China, European Union to build industrial park on maritime economy in Shenzhen. December 12th, AIIB, the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, approves first loan project in China. December 15th to the 17th, weekend edition, hearing on Hong Kong Zhuhai Macau Bridge toll to be held. December 19th, economic policy for 2018 in the pipeline as key meeting opens. December 25th, Merry Christmas if you celebrate, China's first domestic large amphibious aircraft takes off. December 27th, Airport international passenger traffic hits 3.5 million in 2017. December 28th. All Shenzhen public buses now electric. Now we're into 2018. January 4th. Framework plan for Xiongan deliberated. January 5th. Visas eased for high-skilled foreign workers. January 9th. 2 scientists win China's top scientific award. January 11th. Spring Airlines inks $2.8 billion deal for French engines. January 12th to the 14th, the weekend edition. Huawei, China's big mobile phone company, wins patent lawsuit against rival Samsung. January 15th, city enforces mandatory waste classification rule. January 16th, State Council okays removal of Special Economic Zone control line. January 17th, trip from Futian, Shenzhen to Hong Kong via high-speed rail to cost Hong Kong $80. January 18th, Shenzhen economy to grow over 8% in 2018. Government report. And yesterday's paper, January 19th, Shenzhen to host WTA finals until 2028. That's the Women's Tennis Association. Do you see what I see in all these headlines? Any common themes, threads? I see 3. First is China's democracy in action. Articles routinely discuss how the public, all the people from every walk of life, can have input, give suggestions, and make criticisms of issues in their neighborhood and city. Headlines like shared bike deposit, issues raised at hearing on Hong Kong Zhuhai Macau Bridge toll to be held, economic policy for 2018 in the pipeline as key meeting opens, and framework plan for Xiongan deliberated all demonstrate this. While not seen in the above articles, others recently talked about public hearings for ticket prices in the article Trip from Futian, Shenzhen to Hong Kong via high-speed rail to cost Hong Kong $80. Public meetings and consultations are a fact of democratic life in China, and citizens routinely speak their mind across many venues and platforms. Now, every city like Shenzhen has phone apps for most or all of the departments which routinely interface with the people, where you can lodge complaints and concerns in a matter of seconds. This worked for me. On the 2-lane street below where we live, there was a low barrier running the whole length, so if a car stopped, no one could go around and pass. The low barrier was meant to protect children coming out of our school, but it was an unworkable nightmare. Tenants in 2 wealthy high-rises across the street from us would have their chauffeurs come park outside to wait for them to come downstairs to go to work. Mercedes, BMWs, Audis, Cadillacs, Range Rovers, and even Maseratis, Ferraris, and Lamborghinis would lord it over the block street, pissing everybody off in the process. Other less than considerate citizens would stop to get a takeaway meal from sidewalk stands, or make a fleet-footed purchase in the superette. With traffic quickly backing up, exasperated drivers would lay on their horns until it was a nearly 24-hour-a-day, ear-splitting headache for us living right above. I took several photos with my phone, sent them to the Shenzhen Traffic Control Department using its phone app and explained in Chinese what was going on. I made sure to tell them about the class conflict problem of rich fucks being totally arrogant and disrespectful to everybody else of more modest means in the neighborhood. That was in May of 2017. When we came back in August from the United States after summer break, the barrier was removed and the round-the-clock cacophony of overpriced car horns had disappeared. Did my complaint to the Traffic Control Department do the trick, or add to the cause of others doing the same thing? I'll never know, but the street is obscure at best, and the authorities would never have known about the class versus class impasse without people speaking up, including me. Another common theme in these headlines is win-win cooperation, especially internationally and regionally, such as Phase 1 of Shenzhen Haiphong Vietnam Trade Zone, operational soon, First Bulgaria-China Vocational Education Center inaugurated, Argentine Province inks U.S. $300 million deals with Shenzhen firms, mainland and Hong Kong cooperation deal on co-location arrangement, Shenzhen organization inaugurates Africa office in Ethiopia, Shenzhen to host China outbound conference next week, initiative on Belt and Road digital economy cooperation launched, airport international passenger traffic to hit 3.5 million in 2017, AAIB, Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, approves first loan project in China, visas eased for high-skilled foreign workers, Aussie state launches tech partnership with Sustech, China and the EU to build industrial park on maritime economy in Shenzhen, Spring Airlines inks U.S. $2.8 billion deal for French engines, State Council okays removal of Special Economic Zone control line, trip from Futian, Shenzhen to Hong Kong via high-speed rail to cost Hong Kong $80, Shenzhen to host WTA finals until 2028, are headlines that show a city that is outward-looking, cooperative, and win-win with its dealings around the world and in its neighborhood. The third common thread is technology, innovation, and development under the big tent of progress with a capital P. Shenzhen World's sixth in global urban competitiveness top high-tech fair opens today with focus on artificial intelligence. Curtain falls on week-long show of tech innovation. 2 experts in Shenzhen elected as academicians. 2 professors in Shenzhen elected Chinese Academy of Science academicians. Visas eased for high-skilled foreign workers. Again, Aussie state launches tech partnership with Sustech. 4 driverless buses begin trial operation in city. Initiative on Belt and Road digital economy cooperation launched. China's first domestic large amphibious aircraft takes off. All Shenzhen public buses now electric, 16,000 of them. 2 scientists win China's top scientific award. Huawei wins patent lawsuit against rival Samsung. City enforces mandatory waste classification rule. Shenzhen economy to grow over 8% in 2018. Government report. All paint a very vivid image of a city and a country marching forward into the 21st century with foresight, vision, and planning. This is just one metro paper in China, and even 3rd and 4th tier cities are shouting out to their citizens and the world about their win-win cooperation and progress locally, regionally, and internationally. Hundreds of them. The formula is really simple. Communist-socialist Baba Beijing wisely points the way, and the Chinese people march into the new century with purpose and determination. for the betterment of all, rich, poor, urban, and rural. What's amazing is that the whole system hits about 80% of the target set for the country. As problems and conflicts arise, they are debated, discussed, and addressed so that updated goals can be announced to the citizenry. The reason it all works so well is because China has the best participatory democracy and best managed government in the world. Also, compared to the fetid swamps that call themselves Western governments, China is one of the least corrupt countries on the map, all the hysterical, anti-communist, socialist, Euranglo-land propaganda be damned. How many media headlines do you see in your city that have a similar vision of shared prosperity? How many articles are as pervasive in conveying a positive outlook about where your country is heading into the future? When I was back in the United States last year, I sure didn't see many. In fact, it was downright depressing. And then there's a graph from Pew Trust showing citizen satisfaction in China's been above 80% for the last 10 years, and the United States, is in the 20s and 30%. You only have to look over this graph to see that communist socialist China has the world's best participatory democracy, best leadership, and some of the lowest corruption. Pew Trust is a Western polling company, not Chinese. So we can take it to the bank, the above unbiased proof. Baba Beijing has stratospheric popularity levels among its people going back over a decade for very valid reasons. That's it. Friends and fans of China Rising Radio Sinoland, thank you for joining me tonight. Jeff J. Brown signing out from Shenzhen, China. Bye-bye. Good night.